Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Could this game be the next Baldur's Gate 3? Well, probably not in terms of scope or mainstream success, but I do think this game could be a gateway into turn-based RPGs for people who typically dislike turn-based games. Let's dive in, shall we? What's up, everyone? Big Dan here. This week I had the chance to play a preview build of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, an upcoming turn-based RPG with an interesting twist. In this video, I'll be sharing my first impressions of the game and letting you know what it's all about. This is hands down the most unique turn-based RPG I have ever played, mainly because of its intriguing hybrid of real-time action mechanics in a turn-based game. In my opinion, turn-based RPGs have been kind of a stagnant genre in terms of gameplay mechanics. Sure, there have been some amazing turn-based games that have dropped in the past few years, but from a mechanical gameplay standpoint, the genre hasn't seen a whole lot of innovation. Most turn-based RPGs come in one of two flavors. You've got your XCOM or BG3 style games where you move your characters across a battlefield and each character takes an individual turn. And then you've got your Persona-esque or OG Final Fantasy style games where all characters stand in a row and take their turns individually. Expedition 33 is part of that latter genre, but it adds an interesting flavor that I think is a very fresh take on the genre. While the combat is still turn-based at its core, you also have the addition of real-time mechanics such as dodging, parrying, and jumping over enemy attacks. Many offensive abilities also have QTE button combos that can increase your damage, healing, etc. These mechanics alone make the game far more engaging than most Persona-esque turn-based games I have played so far. And because of the direct engagement with the combat, I think a lot of people who are averse to turn-based games may find this one interesting. And for those of us who enjoy turn-based RPGs, this new approach to the combat may bring a fresh perspective on the genre we love. But hold on a second there, Big Dan. I've never even heard of this game. What's the TLDR? Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a turn-based fantasy RPG with a hybrid of real-time action mechanics. You embark on a journey to save your world from the Paintress, who is wreaking havoc on your people. Each year she paints a number on a monolith, and everyone who matches that age fades away and dies instantly. So think of it like a Picasso Thanos snap. And it's your job as part of Expedition 33 to track down and stop the Paintress. The game is being developed by an upstart French studio called Sandfall Interactive. Expedition 33 releases on April 24th at the lean retail price of $50 US. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the combat system of Expedition 33. It's a party-based, turn-based RPG that has a similar structure to the Persona games, but with the addition of real-time mechanics, as I've mentioned about 50 times so far. Did I mention this game has real-time action mechanics too? During my time with the demo, I unlocked 3 different characters, Gustave, Lune, and Mayel, who is voiced by Jennifer English, aka Shadowheart.
Stop that, you big hairy brush face. Can't you see they're human?
Gustave is a sort of tank character who can provide self-healing and buffing, as well as do some high-damage melee attacks. Luna is a caster who does a lot of different magical combo abilities and can also provide healing to your team. Mayel is a sword master who has multiple different combat stances that give her different buffs and debuffs. She has an offensive stance, a defensive stance, and a virtuoso stance, each of which give her different abilities that she can use in combat. Dodging and parrying in this game is a core mechanic, because it's not only the best way to negate damage, but it also allows you to build up action points so you can cast your high-powered abilities more often. It can also create openings for high-damage counterattacks. For instance, if you can parry each attack in an enemy combo, you can do a really high-damage riposte attack, which is really cool. And don't think the dodging and parrying in this game is easy either. A lot of enemies have delayed attacks, and it can be kind of tricky to figure out the timing when you need to actually dodge or parry enemy attacks. So even on normal difficulty, and this is a little bit of a skill issue on my part, I found myself wiping on some of the fights, particularly some of the boss fights in this game. So it's definitely one of those games where you're going to need to practice, and if you're not a very good reactive gamer like me, you might actually struggle a little bit with the combat. But if combat is not your strong suit and you don't really care to learn all of the mechanics, there is a story mode difficulty, and then there's also a harder difficulty for people who want a bit more of a challenge. Personally, for me, I really like the normal difficulty. I feel like it provides an adequate amount of challenge without being so punishing that I feel like I'm just getting absolutely ganked and crushed in these encounters. But in addition to dodging and parrying, there are also enemy attacks that cannot be dodged or parried and need to be jumped by your entire team. And if you manage to successfully jump over one of these enemy attacks, you can perform a sort of team counterattack, which does high damage to the enemy as well. Again, during my time with this game, I found this combat system incredibly engaging. In a lot of these style of RPGs, I will often turn on like auto battle for some of the more simple encounters, so to have a system that actually has you actively engaged with the combat all the time is really fun. There's also a sort of push-pull in the exploration because the game has a Souls-like checkpoint system, or like a pseudo-Souls-like checkpoint system. So as you progress through an area, you'll come to these expedition flags where you can rest to replenish your HP and also upgrade your characters and gain new skills, etc. But every time you rest at one of these expedition flags, you reset all of the enemies in the area, much like bonfires in Dark Souls. So while you don't lose your XP or resources every time you die, replenishing your health at these checkpoints will reset the enemies in the area, which could be a good or bad thing. I could see this being very useful for farming if you need to get new items or experience or that sort of thing, but there is this kind of push and pull with the exploration where it's like, okay, do I try to push on and get to that next checkpoint, or do I fall back and heal so that I'm ready to actually get through these encounters? And I quite like that about this game. Now, in terms of the exploration, I do think the environments are very beautiful to explore. The maps are sort of like linear with little offshoots here and there in terms of exploration. It's not like a big open world game or anything like that. I didn't find exploration in itself to be super satisfying. Like, yeah, you can find a little weapon or like a little like passive thing that you can slot into your character here or there, but it didn't feel like this massively rewarding experience in any way. Now, again, I've only played the game for a couple hours at this point, so I'm curious to see what different maps we'll explore in the actual full game. But at this point, I think the main draw of the exploration and the environment is just the way the game looks. This game is absolutely gorgeous. I love the art style in the game. It's very reminiscent of Elden Ring with these sort of grotesque enemies and very strange things that you run across. You know, a lot of the enemies and characters that you interact with, I feel like you could plop them directly into a Miyazaki game and they would be right at home. So I absolutely love that as well. Also, the music in this game, absolutely incredible. Does a great job of setting the tone. There's this sort of underwater map that you go to, and the battle music for that map really just feels like an underwater vibe to me. I really like that.
Here we are.
Yeah, the continent. The indigo trees over there.
And then again, the voice acting in this game, because we've got actors like Jennifer English, it's just top notch. So I'm very excited to see what this game has to offer when the full game comes out next month. And now that I've gotten a taste of it, I'm very hyped for this game. I would say wait for reviews, wait until the game comes out and see what it's going to be all about. I think I might potentially get a review code for this game. So if I do, I'll be doing a full review of the game right around when it releases. But yeah, I'm very excited about this game. This is probably shot way up the list as one of the top RPGs that I'm personally looking forward to this year. So those are my first impressions of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more RPG videos and reviews. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.